What's going on, everyone, and welcome back to another meta update. And this one's a little bit unique. We're going over the 9.5 Revert and my take on it in terms of the Joust perspective. As I know a lot of people have already gone over this. If you haven't seen those videos, well then, I don't know where you've been, but those videos have been up going over 9.5 and general overview of it from other YouTubers and shit like that. Today, going over it because this does I know a lot of people have questions about, like, what does this actually change? How does this change? What even is this change? And I'd like to put my little Joust perspective on it, because I think this also changes. It doesn't really change the team comp, but more of like an enlightening of what it means to people. If people are confused, you're like, well, I don't know what's the best thing, I don't know what's good, I want to be like on it right away. And if you want to short and sweet, simple version with the changes, time to kill is up, snowball is going to be way more increased, and on top of that, your positioning, the way you position, whether you're a squishy or a tank, is going to be far more important, as everyone's dying. Everyone's getting one shot, everyone's just getting deleted, even tanks. So that's sort of your really quick synopsis of it. And then on top of that, I don't really think it changes much of the team comps. I think both, all the team comps are still in the general area. I can go over it again. Not much has changed besides that, but I decided to go over it because I know there's a lot of people that, like, I don't know what the fuck, I don't know what any of this means or what it could entail. So this is just my opinion, of course. But if you don't know, 11.6, we did have an update that was kind of mid, and so they decided to read the room and say, fuck it, we ball and let's do something crazy and revert 9.5, which they weren't going to. And what is 9.5? We can go over it really quickly. If you were here before 9.5, you probably already know that you had far less health and health scaling, as well as protections and protection scaling. So right now, I think as a squishy, like season 10 and season 11, you were able to, have a squishy god, like a, I don't know, like a hunter, pick any hunter or mage. At the end of the game, you'd have like 2200 health. I'm sorry, you have like around 17 to 1800 health before 9.5, which was the update that gave you a lot of protections and health. Now, after 9.5, you could get up to like 2200 health. An extra 400 to 500 health on top of the extra base protections, which was nutty. And you could obviously see it in the gameplay. Positioning didn't matter as much. Time to kill was low, so things like getting farm or fighting at specific stages, in which you could do before and actually have some impact, you just didn't do because you're like, we're not going to kill them, let's just prioritize farm. And so if you notice, most of like every single game mode that has some type of farm or ranked or competitiveness has just been a farm fest, that being Conquest and Joust too. You just getting your camps and just waiting. If you've noticed, like every single Joust game, at the end of the game, you could be playing 25 minute game because it lasts that long because everyone's just so fucking tanky. No one fucking dies. At the end of those games, you maybe have like 8 kills in total. And then that's it, which is wild to think about. Now everything has just changed. Time to kill is up. Snowball is way more prevalent. And so I think it's honestly a good thing. But here we are. All gods will be affected by the following changes: decreased base health by 28%, as well as the scaling per level by 4.9. Same thing with protections, the base physical protections, as well as the per level 6.8. Magical is a little bit lower on the base by 22, and then the protections per level is a lot for magical. So magical protection. So here's an example. Ymir and tanks got more value out of it compared to like your squishies. So 9.4, this is when you're like pretty squishy. We can get out a calculator here. So 510, actually let's do this correctly. 104 times 3 plus 510. At level 3, because you start at level 3 in Joust, you have 822 health. So you're pretty killable. Now, after you have 714 base plus 109 per level. So 109 times 3 plus 714. Right out the gate, 1,041. It may not seem like a lot for people who are not like into Smite, but that's like a whole like 1 to 2 items worth of health for you. Like that's, and you just get it out of the gate. You're not even accounting for like Gauntlet of Thebes or other items that you're going to be getting online early in the game. So this is like 12, 1300 at level fucking, it's still at level 3 depending on items that you can pick up. So that's just nutty. You're never killing anyone. And we can see the same thing for these ones here, but for 11.6 afterwards, now it's changed a little bit. The health is the same, but also keep in mind the protections. At 89, or at level 20, you have 89 protections to 48 level 20. They're changing it a little bit to where now you have basically the same protections for your, tanks and stuff like that, but you do have a little bit more magical protections. So, and you can kind of see that, like, you have more at like level 1, but as the game goes on, you're scaling right here 1.3 as opposed to 0.9. It becomes a tiny bit more. So you're still, fairly same with protections, but you do have basically exactly the same amount of health. And you can see it similarly for raw and stuff like that. So like 1900 level 20 versus 2140, that's wild. Now at 1745, which is a lot less. But keep in mind, you do have 10 more physical protections and 1 more. You're still going to be dying hella quick. So do keep that in mind. That's basically the gist of that. I mean, minions have their shit decreased as well as these ones and buff camps and stuff like that. Also got health and protection buffs with 9.5. But I have my trusty notes, so I will be looking at these a lot. I've written a lot of things down here, so I'm just make sure I have all my thoughts. I had a lot of thoughts, so I wrote it down so you guys can, get all the information without me having to recite it off my brain. But so that's that. So like I said, time to kill is way higher, and that's just because prots and health are being reduced. Therefore, there's more emphasis on fighting now. So if you notice in your games, or if you've been watching games, there's way more kills at level 3, level 4, level 5. Whereas before, you wouldn't barely, like I said before, like you could go 20 minutes into a game and only have like 8 kills. I was watching, who was I watching? I was watching, I think, this guy. I was watching Attire, and I was just watching some of his games. And it's pretty crazy, the stark differences. Like, I knew that they were going to be a lot more. Now, keep in mind, this guy's obviously a very good player. He has not had a single... Oh, look at that shit. That's crazy. But he was playing Cupid. I was watching this game. And look how many kills there are. What is that? 9, 18, 22, 30, 32 kills. And the game was 17 minutes long. So, like I said, this shit is like this is going like everyone is getting or is feeling this. So, like I said earlier, one of the biggest things is that this doesn't affect like a single class more than the other, or if it does, it's not that significant to pay attention to. With everyone getting decreased health and decreased protections, you can make a case for anything in terms of like who's better with damage. Tanks, well, let's look at this before I get into this. Before we get into that, snowballing is also a very big thing. With the amount of kills that you can get early game at level 3 and shit like that, you can continuously fight and fight and fight, which means you're getting more gold. If one team is just keep killing you and killing you and killing you, then you might want to chill out. You're gonna get snowballed. Whereas before you weren't killing anyone, so you're trying to prioritize farm, which for the most part you couldn't snowball as much as you could with killing them and stealing their farm, which you can now do. So snowball is way more impactful. But as I was saying, tanks are gonna be doing more damage to squishies. I mean, look at this early game, raw. For example, 385. Let's do what's 68 times 3 plus 385. You have 589 health at level 3. You're getting deleted by tanks. they don't do as much damage, and yeah, you just die. They do more damage to you, not just because, you know, items are better or anything like that. They just do more damage because you have far less protections and way more, or and less health. So tanks don't even need to build any type of damage items to do more damage to you, which means your positioning is going to be crazy. Having your relics on speed dial is going to be crazy as well. That's what you're going to need to start doing. So you're going to position, do all that shit, because you can get deleted by tanks. And vice versa, tanks are also a lot more squishy. They still are tanks though. They're not like one-shottable, but you can definitely destroy them late game and early game actually. I've seen, you know, a lot more death to the tanks potential in the early game. So you can kill tanks very easily as well compared to the last patch as well. So either way, time to kill is up, which means that it benefits everyone. So there really isn't like a huge like, this is going to bring back this or it's going to bring back that, outside of maybe a couple of niche gods. But yeah, let's go into, that's basically it for how like the general meta is going to be. Just need to worry about your snowball positioning, and that's kind of basically it. Still prioritizing farm, just knowing when to go in and out, and it's really just trying to get used to it, getting used to the new patch and the damage numbers and how you feel, because it's a totally different feeling feeling that you have like 1100 health rather than now you have like 800 health at like level 1. You're going to be getting destroyed, so it is something you need to get used to. Blah, blah, blah. We are so on to team comps. Now keep in mind this is 11.6, which it's been 1 day, so they don't have it from 11.5. I can't go back either, so keep in mind this is going to be updated. There's not a lot of numbers, as you can see. There's only 876. We're usually, you know, if we're into an entire patch, it's like up to the thousands, several thousands, even like 10,000 potentially. So this is not completely accurate. You definitely need more of a sample size to make this more accurate. But again, we are currently in a double tank meta, and or we were, and I still think we are, basically. So yeah, we're currently in a double tank / hybrid meta, and these changes, I think the team comps will change a tiny bit. Like I said earlier, everything is just, everyone's time to kill is up, which means that everyone's going to be dying quicker. So that means tanks can kill squishies a lot easier, and squishies can kill tanks as well, which means not a lot changes. You're still able to do things as it's basically this. It's just, think of like the meta right now, where is like double tank is still a meta. Think of it as like that, but we're all just less tanky. So it's basically the same thing. It is basically what I'm trying to say. With tanks being inherently less tanky, with damage dealers also being less tanky, this does mean tanks will be doing more damage to squishies because their base damage isn't getting nerfed. Like I said, all the items and stuff aren't getting nerfed. It's just your base protections and health, while damage dealers are becoming far more squishy. So for example, warriors that hit like a truck like Shiva and Mulan are going to be doing hella damage. You know, some of these outliers that do a fuck ton of damage are, you know, are still going to be very, very good. Mulan and Shiva, very solid gods to begin with, and now you're going to be able to hit them even harder. Also, tanks can go full defense and dish out a lot more damage too, again, because squishies have far less health, and even other tanks. You're able to build more defense and still, you know, dish out a lot of damage. Now of course that does fall off late game because squishies will destroy you as well, so there's obviously pros and cons, and, you know, back and forths. And again, none of the damage items are being changed either. So damage dealers are going to be doing way more damage too, meaning squishies are going to basically be one-shotting each, are going to be basically one-shotting each other, or at the very least doing a fuck ton of damage. I mean, if you remember pre 9.5, squishies at level 20 full build were destroying. So like a full Vulcanol, you know, a Cuckoo on a squishy is literally going to one-shot you. You can almost do it before this, but if you get to level 20 and you don't Aegis a Vulcanol, you're dead. Like, you're just legitimately dead. There's no, you're gonna get one shot by one fucking ability. So and then tanks are gonna get fucking obliterated. It still surprises me watching gameplay. It's like, oh my god, wait, what the fuck? Why do you do so much damage? And I'm like, oh wait, you just do more damage because of the patch. So keep that in mind. And that's what I talk about with your positioning is gonna be a lot more important because of that. Because one wrong move and you get one shot, legitimately. So gods like Medusa and Uller and like those other mages I was talking about are gonna be doing crazy damage. Medusa did absurd amount of damage before this patch, and now she's gonna be doing even more. Same with Uller. So like I said, these similar gods that are very like OP, very good, top of the meta, are still gonna be at the top of the meta, whether they're tanks or what am I thinking? Squishies, damage dealers. I think that mages, I think the only thing that really changes is that mages and assassins are going to be a lot better. Assassins were already creeping in the meta, but assassins and mages are really good at doing burst damage, and I think because you are far less tanky, that extra burst damage is going to benefit the mages way more. I think hunters are still going to be in a similar spot, probably a little bit less good. Still think they're going to be very good. I think every class is generally speaking good right now. Just I think mages and assassins are going to get far better. So your OP mages, like your Vulcan, even though he got nerfed, I still think is super fucking good. Persephone is going to one-shot Discordia. I mean, I still think Baba Yaga is going to be very good. And then, of course, your assassins like Camazotz, Serket's. I think Serket is probably the best assassin right now. I forgot to talk about Scylla. Scylla is going to be one-shotting too. So, you know, those guys that have crazy burst damage, you're not going to be, you know, chipping them anymore. You're going to be fucking doing crazy damage. I think both team comps are still going to be doing good, but I think there's still emphasis on the double tank team comps now that they can pretty much kill the squishy backline a lot better now. Even though backliners are still going to shred tanks. So basically what I said earlier, double tank is still in. Now that's not to say that your traditional comp, your one tank hunter and your mage aren't going to be good. I still think those comps are still very good. I just think that generally speaking, your double tank's just going to be far better. I think squishies are going to have, this is like the small changes I'm talking about that make, you know, the backline meta or the backline team comp a little less valuable, is because you have to position more because you get one shot. That means that your room for error is very high. Is that or low? Basically, you know, one mistake and you're fucked. Whereas before you can make a mistake and you know, live with one health. Now you're not going to live with one health. You're just going to fucking die. Meanwhile, tanks are going to be far less tanky, which means their room for error is going to, you know, they need to be careful as well. So, you know, there's that, but they're still building tanky, so their room for error is still a lot higher than your squishy backline, which means that I think double tank is still going to ruin your day. It's just going to make them kill you a lot easier, in my opinion. So if it comes down to it, I think double tank's a tiny bit better. We can go into a team comp that I like actually a little bit more here in a second. That's actually been rising. And one thing to remember, what the meta was before 9.5, which was double tank. If you guys don't remember, double tank was meta. All they did was change, they upped the health and the prots, and it still was double tank meta. But keep in mind that there have been a lot of changes, like purple buff being added and tower shred that wasn't there before. So that's another thing that you can think about that could be confounding variables. And that those things actually did change. You know, squishies being the meta. If you don't remember, in season 10, season 3 map was there, which facilitated more of the traditional team comp anyways. On top of that, they nerfed the hell out of the double tank, and then eventually it came back to double tank, as it always fucking does, apparently, because we just love that so much. But yeah, keep that in mind, that like we're just reverting back to an original state and time, where it was still double tank meta. So I still think we're still there. I don't know how many times I'm gonna say that, just to make sure. Double tank hybrid guys are still gonna be top tier. Because as a squishy, you have a little less than 600 health, whereas you had 800 beforehand, which is a lot. So you're getting destroyed even quicker now. I already talked about that, and yeah, I mean that's basically it. We can look at the pick rate and stuff like this, the win rate, shit like that. I'm gonna pick rate. So obviously you have your Guardian, your Hunter, and your Mage, your traditional team comp. Whopping 48.29%. Nothing really changed here. This is very similar to what it was pre this 9.5. Remember, this is only 876 games. Again, your Warrior, Hunter, Mage still at that 48. Pretty lackluster. You really want it at like your 50% or higher. And then you have your double tank, your Warrior, Guardian, Mage, 53%, 486 games. Your Warrior, Mage, Assassin, and your Assassin can either be damagey or hybrid, which is really good for Assassins. Not really good statistically because you don't know actually what this means. But still 51%, 366 games. Guardian, Assassin, Mage, very similar to this, 50%. This one is a little bit of a doozy. Double Warrior, Mage. I guess it's probably just because, Guardians have more peel, have more setup, rather than, your traditional Warriors. Not a lot of Warriors have great peel and setup outside of, like, Shiva and Horus, which I don't think people are playing a lot. So that kind of does make sense. This team comp, still very good. Guardian, Warrior, Hunter. It's arguably the best one right now still, and this is just, like, a higher end, gameplay. 62%, double tank. And then you have, traditional team comp here, Assassin, Mage, Hunter, 47. So realistically, we're still there. Double tank, very good right here. Very good. So as you can see, double tank is still just the top of the meta. And I think that based on the way that the stats are going, it's going to be the same. So you don't really have to worry about changing too much there. Worry more about your gameplay, how you're playing, adapt to it, when and when not to fight in situations, to not get snowballed, because that's going to be very important, because you're going to rack up 20-30 kills in total by like 15 minutes in the game, whereas before you'd be lucky if you got 8. So that's one of the more important things. Let's see. One of the main team comps that I was talking about that I like more is the tank assassin damage dealer team comp. So we did just look at that. I don't know which one it was. So you could either be a Warrior, Assassin, Mage, or a Guardian, Assassin, Mage. Now, statistically, they're not as good as your Guardian, Warrior, Hunter. But that's at like higher end play, generally speaking. Diamond and up. But like, I don't know about you, but Assassins being able to obviously obliterate it's kind of like a catch-all. You have your Assassin here. I like this team, the Guardian, Assassin, Mage. That's one I like more. Or you could even do a Guardian, Assassin, Hunter too, if you'd like. I like the Mage one better. But again, not statistically that great. But it's a catch-all. Assassin, sorry, it's not statistically as great as like this one, for example. But still, trust me, this team comp is cracked. I'm telling you. You just got to pick the right Assassin. Generally speaking, your Assassin can be a catch-all where you can either go damage, full damage, which is crazy, and if you go up against a traditional team comp, you just destroy the backline. Like if you're a Circuit or a Camazotz, you just run the lobby. You don't even need your other two gamers with you. You just run the fucking lobby. Now, if you're going up against double tank, well, now if you pick Circuit, you can kind of go hybridy. So now you're just kind of like a pseudo double tank. So it's like a catch-all, and it kind of fits every single, type of, if you want more damage, you can go more damage, go on your Assassin. If you want to be more tanky, then, build it on your Assassin. And remember, Guardians do a hell of a lot more damage as well. So, I mean, this is a team comp I'd like to be running. If you're good with Circuit, if you're good with Camazotz, Lancelot, Neja is back. I mean, if you get a Neja and like insert fucking Mage here, that team comp is even better now. Your Vulcan, Cuckoo, Ra, whatever you want it to be, that team comp's even better now too. So I actually like these two team comps a lot better now, and I think they were rising last patch, but I think they're even better now, which is kind of what I want to get to. Assassins are able to do more damage to tanks now. Assassins also provide you with a lot more mobility, which is very good. If you think about any assassin like Bastet, obviously Circuit, Camazotz, they're just like super safe. I mean, Fenrir even are super safe gods that just do what the fuck they want. They just run the map, basically. Obviously, if you play them correctly. That's assuming that, of course. So I mean, there's just so much safety aspect to it as well. Um, like I said, I think each specific team has pros and cons, like tanks being squishier, but are also able to do more damage to backliners as they've gotten squishier as well. And you can say the same, vice versa for the backliners being able to do damage to your tanks as well. So, either way, trying to make this a shorter video. Either way, every god is going to be doing more damage and feel way more impactful. But overall, most things stay the same, like the OP busted gods. Like I said, a couple of outliers like Scylla or Sarkett, which are even more better this patch. But honestly, the big thing is just getting used to the time to kill, how this affects your playstyle, like positioning, when to use abilities and relics, for instance, which makes Snowball a lot more, relevant. So making sure you play around Snowball is more important. Like make sure you prioritize farm when you can, and to pick and choose your battles if you are down levels in gold. That's one of the biggest things that a lot of people struggle with. When to go in, when to not go in, when to use abilities, when to not, especially your getaway abilities, knowing when the enemy team's abilities are down, knowing when your abilities, relics, your team, everything like that. When to give up tower, when to defend tower, when to go to Bull Demon. Those things are what you're still going to want to pay attention to, rather than, what the changes have been to Smite with 9.5 in the team comps. That's just my opinion. Generally speaking, I think it's great for Smite, just in general. The time to kill made the game kind of brain dead, and, although there wasn't a lot of OP things, and there weren't a lot of, things that weren't really good in the meta, for lack of a better term, it just made things very stale, especially when you account for the fact that you were just farming. It was farm simulator. I mean, and it just kind of goes to show with this new patch, like with the time to kill and everything, how it changes all of it. And I think it's just so much more fun. I think this is what the game needs. And at the end of the day, it doesn't really change too much in terms of like your team comp. Just your playability, which should, if you played a few games here and there, within a week, you should be good to go. It's just basically 9.4 all over again. They're gonna need to make a couple tweaks. I think maybe the time to kill is a little too high. That may be up to debate, but I still think it's just generally speaking in a better direction. So, 9.5 Revert, like it. But what do you guys think? If you have any questions, concerns, let me know in the comment section down below. If I missed anything, please let me know. Let other people know as well in the comment section. I'm not a magician or a genie where I know every single thing about every little minute detail of Smite. I'm a nerd for Smite, so I try to get what I think based on history and Smite and shit like that to give you a more accurate representation of how I think things are going to go, or how things are going, for example. But I decided to, go ahead and make this video because I think it is important. But again, yeah, let me know what you guys think. What do you guys think of the update, for example? It'd be an interesting question. I'm always curious what you guys think. Other than that, my Discord is in the link in the description down below. A lot of people in there looking for games as usual. Very chill community, just all around great. So join the Discord if you want to have more contact with me as well. Memberships have been open, $2.99 a month if you'd like to support me. One of the best ways to support me making these videos for you. Obviously, you don't need to. Just you simply watching is good enough for me. So do what you want to do, but I appreciate it if you do that. I think that's pretty much it. I don't think there's anything else I need to go over to for this. Again, just let me know in the comment section down below. Have any feedback, suggestions, let me know. But other than that, and with that being said, thank you guys for watching.